It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. Can we please talk about our periods and how to properly work with them? Look, growing up, we were not properly educated on how to work with and manage our period. I mean, in most cases, it was still taboo to even have an open conversation about it. I'm going to bet that most of you listening still hide your tampon or your pad when you need to go to the bathroom. And yet we're all experiencing very similar things. We're wondering why we have so much energy one day and why the exact same task the next day feels impossible. Look, I'm not an expert in women's health, but I am an expert in being a woman. And I've learned that when we learn to work with our cycles instead of against it, we get more done in less time while honoring and caring for our bodies. Today, I'm going to teach you how to work with your cycle to get shit done and also to get the rest that you truly need. If you've got a group of gals that you talk to, maybe there's a group chat, maybe it's your sisters, maybe it's your nieces. If there are women in your life that you know have either not had access to this information or are still trying to figure this shit out, can you please forward them this episode? Look, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I have no medical training, but I have been knee deep in figuring out and understanding my hormones and my cycle because they have hijacked my life. And I have learned some very, very gentle and simple ways to work with my cycle instead of against it. And it's been a fucking game changer. So the more women that we can get this information in the hands of, the absolute better. So if you're listening on Apple, in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 little dots. If you click on that, you can go down and hit copy link or share episode. And if you're on Spotify, I think there's probably something very similar. Let's empower more women in our lives because listen, when we know how to work with our shit, get out of the way, world, because we are coming for it. I can remember honestly starting this hormonal journey ever since I got my period. And I was a young bloomer. I got my period at the ripe old age of 11. I can remember from the get-go having painful, debilitating, heavy menstrual cycles. I mean, I remember so vividly one night as a teen, I was probably 12 or 13-ish, and I woke up in the middle of the night soaking wet. And I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure if I was sweating out or if I'd spilt something in my bed. No, when I flipped on the light, I had realized that I had bled through everything that I was wearing and everything that was on my bed. So what was the natural solution that every doctor prescribed to young women that were having heavy, painful periods? That's right, I went on birth control. I spent my entire adolescence, all the way up until the age of 22, on birth control. I come off birth control to conceive our child. I have our kiddo, and I can't even remember in the moment how I felt about this, but I can remember looking back. I had the most severe postpartum depression that I probably should have been medicated. But no one was really talking about it, and I didn't feel safe talking to my doctor about it because I didn't know what was going to happen to me or my child. So I just kind of dealt with it on my own. I start to recover through that. I stay off of birth control because I realize I feel like absolute dog shit when I'm on it. And I get to the point where these horrendous, incredibly heavy, labor-like pain periods return. I'm talking hunched over in bed, rocking back and forth, sweating, bleeding through super tampons every hour. At that point, they pitched, hey, it's time for a hysterectomy. I'm like, hey, I'm not ready to do that. What's another option? And a uterine ablation was next. And I got to tell you, that was fucking life-changing. Having the inside of my uterus burnt out, I know it sounds barbaric, but it stopped my bleeding completely. I'm talking 100%. Maybe a little tiny bit of spotting on the toilet paper when I get my quote unquote period. But as far as bleeding, none. Zilch. Gone. That does wonder for both my bleeding and my pain for a solid 2.5 years. And then we start to enter present day moment, where while the bleeding is still gone, which is fantastic, the pain has returned. I mean, I just spent the morning, this morning, I'm recording today, this very morning, I was in the gynecology office talking about potentially getting a hysterectomy. I've not yet made a decision. My body has not yet told me what it wants to do or doesn't want to do yet, so I'm gathering information. And while today's conversation is not around how to manage heavy flows or how to balance your hormones, I share my period life with you to let you know that I fucking understand you. And that while all of these very physical things are happening, there's also so many emotional and energetic things that are happening in our life at the very same time. I mean, growing up, not a single person ever talked to me about your 4 cycles and how your mood will skyrocket one week and how it's going to dip the next week and how we need to slow down and nurture our body another week. And this is the type of week when you need to go, go, go. And this is the week where you need to stop, stop, stop. There was zero conversation around that. And so we are taught that our periods are evil, which, don't get me wrong, they can be, especially when you're experiencing shit like this, which, by the way, earmark, endometriosis is not on the table. We're basically just taught to hate this thing, hate this part about ourselves. 1 week a month, you're going to be a bitch. We're expected to work in a world that was created for a man's cycle. A male has a 24-hour cycle. A female has a 28-day cycle. If you look at the schedules of life and the expectations and the conversations, it's get up early and go work out and go work hard and go do things and be there for your family and then stay up late and hustle, hustle, hustle and start your side thing and then go to sleep and get up tomorrow and do it all over again. Truth be told, the woman's cycle does not coincide with that. In fact, there's really only a week and a half to 2 weeks of the month where we could even consider following that schedule. And then, so what do? What have we been shown and trained to do? To shame ourselves. Oh my gosh, I could do that thing yesterday. I can't do it today. What is wrong with me? I must be broken. I must be fucking something up. There must be something I need to work through. When really what's happened is your hormones have shifted and now you're in a luteal phase and you just don't have the same stamina as you did a couple of days ago. So my mission and purpose of recording this episode and sharing it with you is 1, to educate you. Here is what we were never taught. And 2, to validate and empower you that, gosh, friend, we are actually given something quite beautiful and magical. And if we stop demonizing it and hating on ourselves and shaming and blaming ourselves for not being able to be super women 28 to 30 days a fucking month, and realize that we come in ebbs and flows and movement. And that when we learn what those are and what they feel like for you individually, that you can actually start to work with your body. You can get things done faster, with more ease, to take less time. And you're also caring for and nurturing your body, which is settling down your whole system. I mean, my gosh, we have a really great tool if we just learn how to use it. I want you to understand yourself so that you can honor yourself, because the things that you really want to do can get done. And it actually doesn't take us nearly as long as we expect it to when we're working with our cycles instead of fighting ourselves every step of the way. So first things first, basic information here. And again, these are words that I didn't even understand. I've had to Google these more times than I want to even admit. We have 4 primary cycles throughout the month. Menstrual, which is when we are bleeding. Follicular, which is when energy starts to rise. We get up to ovulation, which is when we are at our peak. And then luteal, when things start to cool back down. One of the best things that I have ever done for myself is to put my cycle in my work calendar. And this is one of the very first things that I want to encourage you to do. You don't have to put all of your phases in there unless you want to. The most important one is understanding your luteal phase. This is the week leading up to your period, and then also honoring the week of your period. I put these in my work calendar. And the reason I do that is so that I know when my energy is at its lowest. If I don't see it on the calendar, guess what? Fair game. Laura's probably going to have a lot of energy. But when I see these on my calendar, I know that Laura needs to pull back. Laura needs to be a little bit more realistic about how many things I commit to. So let's jump into understanding our cycles and how to use them to actually get shit done and not shame and blame yourself. I'm not going to go in the traditional day 1 to day 28 of your cycle. Okay. I'm going to start with the one that pisses most of us off the most, and that is your luteal phase. Okay. That is the week leading up to your period. Chances are you're very familiar with this, even if you weren't sure of what the name or the label, or maybe this is brand new to you. The week before your period is usually when you want to burn shit down. You have negative thoughts about yourself. You probably feel puffy. You feel like things are falling apart. Nothing's going to work. This is never going to happen. Like your brain, I'm telling you, it just gets fucking hijacked. By understanding this part of my cycle, I have learned to have so much more compassion for myself. I've learned how to respond versus react. And I've learned how to recognize that, hey, these big kind of asshole thoughts are not really true. They're not really mine. And the reason that this is so important is because those thoughts they just ignite things. They make us jump in and try and do things when we don't really need to do it. We try to fix things. We usually pop off in our voice, like we're saying shit we don't really mean. We are being our absolute worst critic during this season. And when you can clock and say, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, you can catch those thoughts. And instead of adding fuel to the fire and making it a way bigger thing than it needs to be, you can simply start to observe it. So right now I'm on my period, okay? Which means last week was luteal. I cried probably 3 days last week. I'm like, my business sucks. No one's ever going to buy anything from me. Like, this isn't going anywhere. Yeah, I just want to burn it all down. And as I'm saying these things inside, but also outside to AJ, I was able to very clearly observe that, hey, this is the week before my period and my emotions are going to be extra high. And so I'm not going to believe any of these things to be true right now. It creates some distance between you and the emotion, or you and the action. It helps you to just kind of soften and understand yourself more. And instead of saying like, have you ever done this thing where you're upset and then you're upset that you're upset. So now that you're upset about being upset about upset, like it just keeps building. It just starts to dismantle that, because again, you have that space in between you and that thing, because you are not that thing. There is a space between it. There is something that is triggering that, and that is called hormones. I've also learned that this is not the phase where I'm building things. I'm not launching programs. I'm not running classes. I'm not booking a bunch of events or interviews. I'm not stacking my calendar with meetings. This is not when I'm at my best. In fact, this is the time for introspection. This is the time to reflect what's going on, how you're feeling, noticing your body. It's like, what really needs to be released here? What thoughts are coming up? What beliefs are coming up that maybe I'm ready to let go of? It's a really time to go inward and not outward. So for me particularly, I've learned this is not the week to start pitching events, to apply to conferences, to like go hard on trying to be seen. I'm very rarely creating content during this week. Unless, of course, I've got something spicy to say, and then it's kind of a perfect week to record it. This really, in my perspective, is the big one. When you can really understand yourself during luteal phase, you can understand yourself in every other phase of your life. And when you can create that separation, that space, that understanding, that noticing, that like, oh, hey, there's those big thoughts. Oh, hey, there's those big emotions. They're coming up because they want to be felt. They're coming up because they want to be seen. Let's not demonize it. Let's not make it bad. Let's let it be and not react to it or smack it down or want to shut it in a closet somewhere. I encourage you to get to know yourself during your luteal phase. The next time this part of the cycle pops up, journal. Write things down. What are you noticing about yourself? How is your mood shifting? How is your attitude changing? How is your outlook and perspective shifting? Like, just start to get to know yourself and then invite compassion in. Oh, I can see and understand what's happening. There's nothing wrong with me. My hormones are shifting. My body's trying to release things. Between getting to know it and putting it in your calendar and not stacking shit, right? This is not your week to go freaking ham. This is your week to start pulling things in. This phase is often looked at like fall, right? What do we do when it's fall time? We start to kind of pull in. We start to get a little bit more cozy. We start to retreat a little bit, right? Except going to the pumpkin patch. Of course, we want to be outside. Because what's happening then next, we know, is menstrual, right? This is our shedding time, literally shedding. We are shedding something from our body. And so this is the time for refueling. This is not the time to push. This is not the time to go after every goal and dream that you've ever had. This is not the time to apply to 17 million different new jobs. This is not the time to rearrange the living room or clean out the basement, okay? This is the time to refuel. Okay. If you think about shedding, something very gentle that you can do is shed some of the things in your world. Okay. Your body's physically shedding. What I like to do, and something I literally just did this week, is, hey, my desktop has gotten a little bit crazy. So let me shed some of those files. Let me clean things up. Let me just gently move things around. Shedding is also about releasing. So what releasing do you need to do? Do you need to release an emotion? Do you need to release a feeling, a thought, an expectation, a belief? This is really the time to honor that, hey, your body is now in winter. What do we do in winter? Man, do we slow down and cozy up. We want hot, delicious beverages in our hand. We want a really good movie on the TV. When you start to work with that, I realize that you can't just maybe lay on the couch for 4 days. Maybe you can, and that's fantastic. But if you got kids, you've got a job that you're going to, you've got things that need to do. I get it. You can't always just detach from the world completely, but you can integrate some of that. You can decline going to a bunch of events that week. You can make more time in the evening to sit and rest. You can go to bed a little bit earlier. You can make a cup of your favorite tea that you haven't had in a while. Again, when you know and understand that what your body needs is rest and refueling, and you start to honor that, your body will respond back to you. It will thank you. It will be stronger. It will be more nourished. It will be more ready for the next phase, which is follicular. And boy, oh boy, does it feel good to start to enter this phase, because this is when Stella starts to get her groove back. You ever notice a few days after your period starts, you go through that whole downward spiral there. And then all of a sudden, one day you start getting a little bit more pep in your step. You start getting a little bit more energy. Your creative ideas start to flow in again. Friend, you have entered your follicular phase. And this is like your theoretical spring, when things start to come back to life. Things start to grow again. You start gearing up. And this is a beautiful, amazing freaking time to do your planning, your research, to document and get down your creative ideas, to start taking initiative on things. You're taking action. You are moving again. Think about a long winter. What is the first thing that you want to do when a warm spring day opens up? You want to get your ass outside and you want to move. For me, I have found this is when it is best to start outreaching. Pitching and getting my name out there for speaking events, it takes a lot. I'm talking a lot of time and effort. And entering this phase is the perfect time to do this. My self-belief is locked back in, my energy is backing it up, and I am laser freaking focused. Start using this part of your cycle for forward moving action. Yes, this is when you can clean out the basement. Yes, you can start to rearrange things. You can go after things. You can ask for a raise. You can start applying to jobs again. Maybe you can handle a few extra meetings this week, right? Like your body has more capacity because your energy has more capacity. So if you've got a to-do list or things that you're wanting to accomplish or goals that you're working on and towards, friend, if you focus, I'm saying laser focus during this part of your cycle, and you get in and you dedicate your time and your energy towards those things, you will absolutely see more movement in this week than you will in any other part of your month. This is why I said that you can get things done in less time while still honoring your body. Because when you're trying to make yourself do all those things, when you're in luteal or when you're in menstrual, it feels like chugging up the side of a mountain that has mud dripping down it and you're wearing these boots that just keep slipping down, right? Like it feels like it takes you forever. It's harder to do. The creativity is not there. You're not sharp. You're fumbling over your words. You're just like, fuck all of it and burn it down, right? Like it takes forever. Whereas if you make the simple shift to doing those bigger, heavier, or more dense or creative tasks during your follicular after you're done bleeding, you're going to be like, that took me seconds. The shit that I've been putting off for a month, all of a sudden, this morning, it's done. This is the kind of energy. So really hone in on your doing during this phase. And then maybe the peak, the best of the best is right before and right around ovulation, because this, my friend, is when you are fucking sharp. You are glowing. Things are attracted to you. If you ever have to do a photo shoot for work or for your business, schedule it during this part of your cycle. You will thank me later. You will glow differently. Did you know that the shape of our face changes? Like we are more symmetrical during ovulation than any other time of the month. This is by far my favorite season to record episodes, to record content, to stack up and do a bunch of interviews on other podcasts, to speak on stage during this phase. Holy magnetism. So this is the part of your phase. If you can coordinate these things to ask for a raise, to ask for a higher position, to go on interviews, to go on dates, to launch a program, to show up and do lives on social media. I mean, anytime that you can be in front of things or people, you are naturally going to just shine and glow differently. You will take up space differently. Plan your presence. Plan your movement towards the next thing in your life around this phase and watch the opportunities flock to you. It is a short window of opportunity, I will say that. But if you tap in and ride that wave, friend, you will accomplish things that you will blow your own freaking mind around. Because then, of course, now we've rounded the bend. Now we're coming back to that part of the cycle when we start to go back into fall. We're going back into luteal. We start going inward. We start reflecting again. We start pulling back again. But note, really see, take an inventory of your life tasks and your work tasks. Even your workouts. Okay. I didn't even get into that. I'm not going hard on the machines. I'm not trying to up my weights when I'm on my period. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm going to walk away feeling like I'm the weakest piece of turd that ever existed. I don't have the physical same strength during my period as I do in follicular. In a couple of days, I'm going to be able to max out on my weights. This morning, I didn't even do a few of the things that I normally do because my energy literally was not there. So I would encourage you, okay? Here's a very simple task that you can do is start wherever you are in your cycle, start a journal and notice things about yourself. Notice how you feel. Notice how long it lasts. Notice the thoughts that come up. Notice your energy. And then take your home life and your work life. Look at your tasks. Look at your commitments. Look at how many meetings that you have, how many parties are on the schedule, or things that you need to do, or house projects that need to be done, right? Like start to take all that stuff and schedule your life and your work, if possible, with your cycle. If you work for yourself, this is a lot easier. Whereas if you work for somebody else, this may not be as flexible, but you can still hold space for this. Because when you know this information about yourself and your boss is like pushing for this project or pushing for a deadline, you can start to communicate your needs better. Instead of, yes, I'll take all that on. Yes, I can launch this thing then. Yes, I will host all these meetings. Use this information as a talking point. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Boss, next week would actually be a really fantastic week for me to really go in and focus on that. Would you be okay if we move that from this week to next week? I mean, you don't even have to go into the details of why, but I also hold out for and celebrate a day when we have more inclusive workspaces where this can be an actual deciding factor for the way that we do things. Friend, you were not built to hustle, to grind, to go after things, to work out, to take care of the kids, to run the errands, to do this, to do that, to knock through the list and build the business and make the money. And you were not built to do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the entire month. You were built to ebb, to flow, to guide, to understand. And hopefully today you have a little bit more understanding about yourself and how you work and why it feels so easy one day and so hard the next. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's certainly not because you're screwing something up. It's because your body is changing nearly every single day. And when you understand your cycle and you start to plan your life and your work with it, my heavens, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a life hack, this is the one. Ever since I've been working with my flow, my stress has lowered, my self-esteem has increased, I've gotten more shit done, and I feel like I've unlocked a cheat code to life. Guess what? There's about 30 places that I need to reach back out to about speaking at their company that this last week and a half looking at them, I'm like, I can't even. But now moving forward, knowing that I'm like on day 3, going into day 4 of my cycle, I'm starting to get a little revved up again. And I'm looking at that list like, guess what? Guess who's coming for you? You don't need to shame yourself. You don't need to blame yourself. If you just work with yourself, things around you will work with you too. These are the types of subjects and conversations that we are having in the Gutsy Collective. So if you're craving an atmosphere, a group of women that are forward thinking, they're ambitious, they are dedicated to improving their life, and we're talking about it in the most open, vulnerable, and supportive atmosphere physically possible, then I invite you to join the Gutsy Collective. You can do that by going to lauraora.com and clicking on the button at the top of the screen. Friend, if there's something about this episode that just rung so true or loud to you, I would really, truly love to hear from you. Send me a DM. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. You can find me using @thatlauraora. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.